It's the Marty Show. Hello and welcome to the Marty Show. Today we're going to talk about Howard the Duck and also about the controversy surrounding the character. And we're going to look at issue number 21, an issue that I think is somehow very relevant nowadays, although yes, the fashion and the situations are a bit outdated. Somehow, time has caught up with how absurd and strange this comic is, and now we're living in that absurd and strange world. Howard first appeared in the pages of Giant Size Man Thing. I have to say that again. Giant Size Man Thing. Readers took a liking to the character, and very soon after, he had his own comic. It was a pretty big hit with older readers, and the social satire was pretty out there and wild, considering this was a Marvel comic. And the fact that it was a mainstream hit is probably why it got in trouble in the first place. And it got in trouble with Disney, of all companies, a company that now owns Marvel, but in those days they saw Marvel as a competitor. Things got fairly ugly between the two. Basically, Disney asked Marvel to change the look of the character to the dismay of creator Steve Gerber, who just thought that the characters didn't even look that similar. One of their first conditions was to ask Marvel to put pants on Howard so that he would look different from Donald. And the issue we're going to have a look at today, Howard the Duck number 21, actually addresses this problem. And we're going to have a look at it together now. Okay, so here it is. Trapped in a world he never made. Howard the Duck. And here you can see number 21, February 35 cents. Very cheap if we compare to now. So let's have a look inside. So I won't necessarily tell you what the whole story is about. We're more going to talk about the context of this comic and also the contents a little bit, but not the story itself. More the satire and a little bit what went on during the time this comic was published. So basically, the complaints that Disney made were taking effect around that time, and writer Steve Gerber was trying to keep publishing this comic as he did before, which is in a very personal way. Actually, it's more like underground comics if you think about it. But if you're not too familiar with Howard, basically he's a duck from a duck world who somehow went through dimensions and got stuck in our world. And so he's meeting humans, and humans actually believe he's a little person inside a duck costume, but he's an actual duck, a speaking duck. And what's going on in this particular story is that there is a group of people calling themselves Sufi. That's an acronym for Save Our Offspring from Indecency. And it's a group not too different from a certain group of people that I won't name, but that I've come across a few of them in recent years. In any case, they wear these smiley faces as masks, and they they blow up like porn movie theaters and offensive rock concerts with their suicide bombers, and their campaign of terror is in full effect in this story. Howard ends up coming face to face with the leader of the Sufi movement, the Supreme Sufi, and she knocks out Howard with one of their gases formula. And when Howard wakes up, he finds himself dressed up in totally ridiculous, tacky looking clothing. Actually, they want to brainwash him and turn him into this totally bland character, and using this machine called the Blanditron. And using that machine, Sufi is actually shocked that it doesn't work on Howard, and Howard punches her in the face, breaking the mask. And somehow that ruins her movement, and Howard ends up going back to his, his normal life. What's funny is that, Disney requested Steve Gerber to change the clothes, and he did Howard's clothes, and he did for this comic, but only this comic. So the previous issue, he was wearing his usual clothes. Here he ends up in a washing machine and so on. And after exiting the washing machine, uh, he drops off his clothes in the end, and in the next issue he's back as his normal self. So basically, Steve Gerber was just laughing at the face of Disney. Not only at that, but at all that is politically correct. And this is why I think this is an amazing comic. And I don't think Marvel would be able to publish anything close to that nowadays. This being said, things went south not too soon, not too long after that for Steve Gerber, and he pretty much lost control of the character. He returned a few times later on to Howard, but he could never completely get back to the character the way he wanted to. And all of that was due to some legal issues. And yeah, it is what it is. That's a story for another time. But I recommend reading Howard the Duck. It's way wilder than you probably imagine if you haven't read it. It's cool stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again, hopefully very soon.
Thanks for watching.